All right, welcome back everyone to the first episode of Pod on the Apex, which is on the F1 weekend this year. F1 is finally back. We have qualifying in less than 12 hours from now, and the excitement is palpable. It's time to hear the F1 theme again, time to see the F1 credits again. F1 is so back, Aniket, so freaking back.
Yeah, baby, we are so back. I'm excited as hell. I've watched two good practice sessions, two exciting practice sessions earlier today,
Yeah,
and I'm very much into the fact that we are going to have a lot of teams challenging at the front as and when the races come and go. And it's going to be an exciting season. We are all going to be here for it. We are going to cover every race on this pod. So stay tuned to this pod, and we're going to break it down, be it qualifying, the races, some of the practice sessions as well, like how we're going to do today.
yeah.
But yeah, Pratyush, excited as hell, and let's get to racing.
Yeah, let's dive right in. So today we had the first two practice sessions. The first two practice sessions of 2025. And I know, Aniket, we saw very tight battles at the front, especially between McLaren and Ferrari. So, what do you think? What do you think of practice and Lewis in the new car and the new cars itself? What do you think of them?
Yeah. Yeah, obviously the cars are not much different from last season, right? They're just like a little bit of an upgrade
Yeah, mm,
from last season. Like some teams have barely upgraded, while some, like Ferrari, have done some kind of a bit of a bit of a more major upgrade in terms of their entire suspension and somewhat. But there were two exciting practice sessions. Obviously, FP1 was just for everyone to set their car in the right kind of zone, and that's what teams were doing. The timings were not very representative. We did see McLaren, stamp the authority in FP1 towards the end on the soft tire, but Ferrari also did look good, especially Charles Leclerc. And Red Bull and Mercedes and all, they did struggle in FP1, but that's something that we could have expected, because a lot of teams would just probably set their sights on getting the car in the right temperature, right zone, and stuff in FP1. And then a couple of hours later, we got to FP2, and this was a more representative kind of a session, because here the teams could get some of the analysis done from FP1, and fine tune the car for FP2, and that's what we did. That's what we did see from Lewis Hamilton's garage. We did see he was struggling in FP1, but when it came to FP2, he pulled a little bit closer towards Charles Leclerc, as well as towards the front of the field as well. So he is settling in, I would say, decently well with the new Ferrari, but it's going to take a few more races for him to be up there challenging with his teammate. But Charles, on the other hand, he put in a banker lap on the soft tire, and he was fastest, by a bit. I think by 10th or so from the McLarens.
yeah,
And yeah, so it does seem poised for a Ferrari versus McLaren battle tomorrow. We surprisingly saw the Racing Bulls doing very well in free practice with Isaac Hajar and Yuki Tsunoda both. Yuki Tsunoda was
yeah,
fourth in FP2, so
right.
that was surprising. And it felt like they were outpacing even the Red Bulls on their long run pace for some of these laps. So that did look very interesting. It does look like Racing Bulls have a shot for points tomorrow.
Yeah,
And
that would be
we
insane,
also
man. Racing
That'd be
Bulls
insane.
in points the first race of the season.
It seems that the white car is finally showing why it's so beautiful, the
White car
racetrack as well.
fast, not just
The white
beautiful.
car is fast. It's like there was a tendency in basketball, like white men can't hoop, and in F1 white cars can't race. But
Yeah.
probably it's the
Mm.
reverse now. So white cars can race. So we'll see tomorrow in qualifying how they put up. But it do seem like a contender for points based on how they're going. And we did get analysis on long run paces from the top teams, and it does seem that McLaren still have a little bit of edge over the other
Yeah.
teams. They still look quick. They are able to pump in those faster laps compared to, say, Ferrari as
Right.
well. So McLaren on the long run pace, I would still say, are the favorites, but qualifying tomorrow is going to be interesting. And Charles Leclerc is probably the favorite to get that pole because of how well he's done so far. And also, he's just a very good, pole position man. He's like
Yeah.
brilliant on one lap pace.
He's a king for a lap, right?
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
that
also
was all about practice. But Pratyush, yeah, get your thoughts
yeah, I was just looking at the data which the F1 website published on your. which they basically they basically crunch some data from qualifying and race simulations, and yeah, McLaren was ahead in both. But what was interesting is in their car performance analysis, um, McLaren was ahead, in the slow and high speed corners. Uh, you know, uh, to Ferrari. Sorry, I think I'm getting this wrong. Yeah, sorry, yeah. So Ferrari was the fastest in the low and high speed corners, but where Ferrari are missing out was on the straights. And on the
Yeah,
straights, McLaren have a healthy lead. And well, funnily enough, both McLaren and Alpine are faster on the straights for some reason. but but yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Assuming Charles gets pole tomorrow because of his one lap heroics,
yep.
um, if the McLaren is faster on the straights, we might see some crazy DRS action as well early on in the race. As Charles tries to pull away in the corners and then McLaren just makes it up on the straights. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
going to be a very spicy race. Looks like a very spicy season opener.
It does, and we also have to consider that the weather is going to play its part on Sunday. The
Yeah.
forecast does have a bit of a cloudy kind of a weather for Sunday. So we are still waiting to see if the teams do adjust their rear wings. And someone on comms today was saying that maybe we'll see a different rear wing tomorrow
Hmm.
if teams do prepare differently. For having a foresight on the rain as well. So let's see how that works out. It's going to be interesting. I'm sure some teams who are like at the back of the grid might be more operating on a rain kind of a setup, expecting rain to come. And as Pratyush has pulled up the data here for our pod listeners, we have some weather data from the
Yep.
weatherman Pratyush here for for Sunday. It does seem like when the race is going to start, it's like about to it's going to bring some rain as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think we've seen Albert Park having a lot of rainy season openers or rainy races as
Yeah.
such.
It's been a while.
So yeah, so that's going to be interesting. But if it's a dry race, I would still think it's going to be McLaren versus Ferrari. And as Pratyush has laid it out, it could be Charles Leclerc against the two McLarens. Hopefully, Lewis Hamilton is able to back up Charles Leclerc by Sunday, but we'll see about that because McLaren do have a much more pace advantage or a straight line speed advantage compared to the Ferraris.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I think it's going to be a very tight race at the front. I mean,
Yeah,
less than 2 tenths separate Ferrari and McLaren race pace on a lap. So it's still very close. One botched pit stop and suddenly the other team is back in the hunt with such close gaps. But
yeah, and don't discount Max Verstappen. He did not have a good couple of practice sessions, but you can never discount that
oh
man.
yeah,
If
you
it's a
can
rainy,
never
if it's
discount.
a wet race, then obviously he's going to be one of the favorites to win that. But even if it's a dry race, never discount that man.
Yeah, yeah. You never know what rabbits Max will pull out of the hat. Um,
Yeah, and Red Bull generally are very good in their post-practice simulation
hmm,
or post-practice, kind of adjustment of their car. So,
yeah,
you know, tomorrow if they come out with a lot of new found fine tuning on their car and zoom to the top of the podium, zoom to the top of the position in the timing charts, don't be surprised because they're very
yeah.
good at it, and Max is especially very good at doing all this.
Yeah, exactly. I think we'll be very interested to see what FP3 brings tomorrow. With what kind of numbers we see, because FP3 will probably be the closest to qualifying with teams all finalizing their setups. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if suddenly Max was stepping in like the top three positions at the end of FP3. Um, yeah, yeah. The other thing also, Aniket, did you notice who was P2 and FP1?
Yeah, a certain Mr.
Smooth operator.
Was it the guy who was playing a Saif Ali Khan character in Race? What that movie? I forgot that movie. Tara Rampam, Tara Rampam,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
Bollywood movie. He was a lead star actor or lead actor, whatever it's called. Yeah, that guy. I think he took some paste from Ferrari and bought it to himself.
yep, yeah. He's like, I'm taking this
Yeah.
side pod with me to Williams.
And we did, if some people have not watched our preview of the season, we did rate Williams very highly in that.
Yeah.
And a major reason for that was Carlos Sainz's experience and what he does bring from Ferrari. And it's at least from the first few sessions we've had, it does prove to be that's going to be the
Yeah.
direction
Yeah.
that Williams are going to go in.
Yeah. I
That they
think.
might be a regular challenger for points.
Yeah. Both qualifying and race simulations have Williams as the fifth fastest team.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they get like a double points finish tomorrow, right? I don't mean just ninth and tenth. Let's see. I don't know, man. Liam Lawson or Kimi Anthony just bins a car into turn one because they're a rookie. With all the pressure of F1, and yeah, suddenly you have,
Yeah.
I don't know, Carlos Sainz in sixth place on his debut in a freaking Williams.
I agree. I mean, you can never write off Carlos Sainz. We've seen how close he was to Charles in his
Mm,
years at Ferrari. So I'm guessing he's brought all of his experience to Williams, and that's the reason why they're so motivated to be doing what they're doing right now.
yeah. But also, what I was very surprised with in the simulation data was Aston Martin is eighth. Like,
Hmm.
even worse than what we expected at the start of the season in our
Yeah,
ratings preview. So yeah, that was very very surprising to see Aston Martin so down, like behind both Alpine and Racing Bulls. And also another surprising thing was Haas was dead last in qualifying simulation pace behind Kick Sauber, and then they swapped with Kick Sauber in race simulations. Yeah, another bad year
which
for
was very
Haas.
surprising.
Yeah, like what
Yeah.
another bad year for Haas, Aniket?
I think we did rate Haas like around seventh
Yeah.
in our sixth or seventh in our rankings. So it's surprising that they are at the back of the grid now. So we'll see tomorrow how it goes. Maybe like they still have some
Hmm.
tools which they didn't unlock. I mean, it's not like I'm telling they're going to be in P1 or something, but maybe they figure out some pace and try to jump up some positions. But
Yeah.
it's always going to be interesting at the back. We're going to have rookies there fighting out for not making the bottom of the grid. Ollie Behrman did have a crash today as well,
Right.
so that's probably one of the other reasons why Haas ended the session very badly.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
So we'll see tomorrow what they do. It's gonna be a mix of different teams jostling for that last spot as well. Unfortunately, as it is for the top positions. But
Yeah.
again, look, let's not discount Nico Hulkenberg because he's a hell of a driver as well. So he has a lot of experience. So let's see what he does tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, Nico Hulkenberg was P8 in the Sauber in FP2,
Yeah,
and yeah. So I mean, a good outing for him. So hopefully, even though Sauber looks slow, maybe Nico can pull something out of the car. But
that's the reason why I said.
the more interesting is Haas was P19 and P20 in FP1 and P19 in FP2 because obviously Behrman had a crash. But
Yeah,
yeah, it feels like Haas has this, just up and down every season. They'll have one good season and then two crap seasons. Again, a one good season, and then they disappear again. And this was exactly what Gunther Steiner used to say that they can never catch a break. uh,
I agree.
it's why he said that famous quote that he would beep the entire paddock if if he can get some points. Yeah,
Yeah. Again, like let's not discount Haas as well. Maybe they do because under new leadership last season they had a very good season.
oh
So
yeah, yeah, no,
we'll
totally.
see like how it goes. It's gonna be tough to call, but I'm excited for tomorrow. Now that we have these two practice sessions out of our way, I'm looking forward to Saturday qualifying in Melbourne in a sunny Melbourne.
Yeah.
20 cars on the grid. We'll see how it goes. 3 sessions, and we'll probably do a short post quali review and get it out on our Instagram feed.
Mhm.
Probably just talking about how the qualifying went and how it sets up the race as well. So do stay tuned for that.
Oh yes,
Uh,
totally.
you know, while we get to Australian qualifying tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're all very very excited for qualifying tomorrow, and yeah, as the season is about to begin, Aniket, I think this is a good time to discuss what has been one of the most controversial rule changes which was announced over the winter break. And I especially bring this up because this was more like a rumor or kind of thing all this while, but yesterday we finally, I think it seems like it finally got codified yesterday. The swearing ban is what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. It was codified in the off season, but yeah. So Formula One has instituted a swearing ban, and basically what it says is that the first time a driver swears, they will get a 40,000 euro fine, which goes up to 80,000 euros a second time, and a suspended 1 month suspension, which is basically nonsense. But the third offense would have a 120,000 euros fine, but this time it's not a suspended 1 month suspension. It is a 1 month suspension. And also, you get championship points deducted. And I don't think they've said how many points are going to be deducted, but it just says it's going to be a championship points deduction. And yeah, I mean, drivers seem confused or fed up rather. I don't know what word to use, but it's very weird why the what I don't know who's doing this, FIA, I guess, why they're going down this route. uh, Max Verstappen said not necessary, and then he refused to discuss with the media. Then he's like, I'll get in trouble. It reminds me of Jose Mourinho's I have nothing to say. uh, we saw Lewis Hamilton say it's a joke. Oscar
Yeah.
Piastri said it's too harsh. um, yeah, you know, George Russell also um, was spoke out about it. Um, it's very, I don't know. I think it just, yeah. What do you think about this? You have these athletes, in such high pressure
Yeah.
situations in the car, talking to their radio engineers, right? Like they're not talking for you and me. They're talking with their engineers. So I don't get the whole. What's the point of this swearing ban?
I don't get it either. So, I mean, the drivers generally, why they swear is the question. Why do they swear? The swearing is, it's like a release, right? Because of the extreme competitiveness of the sport, the high
Yeah.
pressure
Hmm.
kind of situation they are in. So it's the adrenaline that results in this kind of swearing, right? When you have, say, a bad pit stop, or you do a mistake which hurts your positioning on the grid,
Hmm.
or you're frustrated at another driver who's done some dirty tactics to push you off the track, or do something on the blue flags or something. And that's the reason why people get so animated, right? And swearing is something which naturally comes out to get the frustration out. And that is something F1 has been F1 has been saying from a long time, and that is what the radios have captured, and that is what we as fans also like to see. We like emotions in sport. We don't like sports, or we don't like to see sports where there's no emotions, where there's no,
Yeah.
like, where the drivers or the players are not playing for their team, and basically not giving the everything for the team. And when you see that how competitive and how fierce the drivers are, when every single turn or an apex means something to them, we understand that the swearing is something which is inherent, which comes out. So it's, yeah, the banning swearing is a ridiculous move, I would say. I can understand it from an audience point of view, wherein, say, kids who get used to watching F1 learn swearing or learn swear words from F1.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
understand it from that point of view. But then you can also bleep that kind of word wherever it's used,
Yeah.
right? You can also have
But
like a parental guidance or something like that
But just to
advertised.
just to interrupt you, Aniket, the FIA, or whoever the producer is, chooses which segments of the driver's radio to broadcast. So
Yeah.
they can very well choose not to broadcast when a driver swears. I know they bleep it today because of regulations, but they can choose to not even broadcast that moment. And I mean, sure, on F1 TV, on drivers' feeds, you can see the swearing. But I mean, today that's not even bleeped over there, and clearly F1 doesn't care enough to bleep that. And I don't think 10-year-old kids are going to run to F1 TV to find, oh, When did Max Verstappen or Yuki Tsunoda bleep during a 2 hour race?
I agree. And it's very sad because that's one of the elements of F1 which people also love to see, right? We love to see the emotions come out. We don't want to see mechanical drivers just driving on the track and not showing their emotion, right? This is a part of how teams, how drivers, how team principals and stuff show their
Yeah,
emotion. So inventing, or I would say not invent, I would say like introducing fines, race suspensions for something like this is pretty ridiculous when you have other important things in F1 that
yeah,
you can certainly deal with.
yeah. No,
But the F1 or the FIA fraternity is just hell bent on dealing with these kind of minor things, which probably irritates the drivers more than others, unfortunately.
yeah, totally. And I mean, we have seen the FIA go behind such frivolous things, like even the jewelry ban last year, right? It really makes no sense. Why is it? Why are these things the battles that the FIA is picking? We also saw the FIA. Was it? I think last year, the year before last, when they were like, "Oh, uh, drivers should not make political statements at races," just because Lewis Hamilton said Black Lives Matter, right?
Yeah.
Like, come on, he's a black guy. What do you expect him to say? White Lives Matter? It's really so stupid. So, I mean, and this was especially during a charged time in on the world scene when there was so many, racial violence incidents going on, and obviously Lewis felt compelled to speak out as the only black racing driver ever in F1,
Ever.
right?
Yeah.
Ever, and at the same time, be becoming the one of the greatest of all time with 7 titles, right up there at the top. So obviously, he would feel compelled as part of the identity and the history to speak out. Or even, I mean, Lewis has spoken out on a lot of things, right? He's spoken out on he and Vettel have been one of the most outspoken F1 drivers, and
Yes.
the FIA had their uh, yeah, they went crazy on that as well. And this is, I think if you look at the bigger picture, I think this has been a pattern since when the current president of the FIA took over, right? Mohammed Ben Sulayem. Um, he took over the FIA. When was that? Do you remember
I
when
think
that
at
was?
the beginning of 2022.
Yeah, yeah. Or 2022, or was it earlier? Yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah, beginning of 2022. He succeeded former President John Todt. And yeah, I mean, from the time he has come, there have been allegations of misconduct, allegations of corruption against him. He there were allegations that he told FI officials to declare the Las Vegas circuit as unsafe, just so that F1 can get out of hosting a race there. He was investigated for trying to intervene in changing the results of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in 2023. And then last year, the FIA received two whistleblower complaints against Mohammed bin Sulayem. So yeah, and the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix thing was about the penalty that Fernando Alonso got, and yeah, he was, I think, trying to kind of meddle in what penalties should be given for Alonso. Which again, why is the FI president intervening on that? This is something that the stewards or race officials should take care. And yeah, I mean, there's also his comments which resurfaced from 2001 on his website. It said that women are not smarter than men, to paraphrase, which kind of came up in 2023. And then, of course, he said that it doesn't reflect his current beliefs, but I'm not saying it reflects it or doesn't reflect his current beliefs, but I'm just, adding color to all the controversy that have come out against him in just 3 years as FIA president, you know. And I think it all kind of ticked off when drivers started swearing, or kind of swore in a press conference last year, and Ben Salam got very, very pissed off. If you, do you
Yeah.
remember, Verstappen got a community service order, and then Leclerc got a 10,000 euro fine, and they're like, "Hey, come on, man, what's going on here?" And then that kind of ultimately resulted in the swearing ban. Like you should not swear at all, whether it's races or press conferences or anywhere. So, and even for press conference, I mean, they believe that all that stuff. So I don't see what his problem is. And also, if he's so worried about kids, which is the argument that he gives, kids can see Drive to Survive, where an F bomb is dropped every episode. So, what is he going to? Is he going to find Netflix for showing an F bomb in this show now? Uh, it's really just insane. And oh, okay, I'm just reading this. Apparently, he also find a driver in the World Rally Championship, so swearing in a press conference.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the biggest thing also that this year he made a change to the International Sporting Code of the FIA, which said that any language which results in moral injury or loss to the FIA, its members, or executive officers can be punished in the form of fines, deduction of championship points, and suspensions. So he doesn't want anybody to criticize him. He doesn't want anybody to speak out against him, and yeah, I've spoken enough before Mohammed Ben Salam decides to find
Yeah,
me. What do you think of all
I
this,
I
Aniket?
I'm in the mood of going on an F bomb right now, but I might be fined, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, but but I think we both summarize our points pretty well in terms of our frustration as well, when when all, because this is what we want from F1 drivers. We want them to show that side of their being, which we don't see it in a normal kind of a scenario, and we only see it in F1. So if that you remove that element, then you are removing the soul of an F, or the part of a soul of an F1 driver, which is a little sad,
Yeah.
because you don't want an F1 driver to be, to be pissed off and say, "Oh, it's okay, I'll get him next time," or something like that.
Mm.
Instead, we want him to say, "Oh, I want it back," something like that. So,
Yeah.
if you want it, we want that, and not like, oh, the gentle way of getting it done. So,
Right.
I don't know. We might not see swearing again for a while, till at least MBS is in charge. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how teams get around it, drivers get around it, and this is a good topic to discuss, which we just did. And I'm sure that other people also like us will be discussing and putting in their own thoughts. So even
Yeah.
the people who are watching, if you want to get your thoughts in, please shoot it out in the comments, and we'd love to read them in terms of what do you think on the swearing ban. Because for us, we felt that's an important topic that we're discussing. It's something that was announced last year, but we felt it's important to bring it back
Yeah.
before the season starts, because it's a very monumental change in F1, and that's the reason you discussed about it right now.
Yeah. And the most ironic part for me is that it's not like MBS is some it's not like some MBA graduate who came in to start running the FIA. He's a driver himself. He's a rally driver, right? He had a pretty good racing career. He won multiple titles in the Middle East Rally Championship for Toyota and Ford. So he's a pretty accomplished driver there. So it's not like he's some pushover that got hired and to run the FI through, I don't know, nepotism or being Bernie Ecclestone's buddy or something. He's a pretty accomplished driver himself. And does he want us to believe that he never swore in his entire career as a racing driver, especially in rallying, which is, I would say, a similarly pretty challenging sport, just like F1, right?
Yeah,
Sure, you're not going at 200 miles an hour, but you're going through tight turns, insane weather conditions, all kinds of road conditions, your car losing control. Does MBS expect us to believe that he never swore and he was squeaky clean? Whatever squeaky clean can mean in this context. So yeah, it's really disappointing for a former driver to take this stance. Um, you know, Especially as someone with his experience and his level of accomplishment that he has had. I still remember when MBS was elected to become president. There was, in fact, a lot of excitement in the community, in the racing community, because they were like, "Hey, here's someone who has been a driver himself. So he knows what it means, what the trials and tribulations a driver faces in his career. Unlike say Bernie Ecclestone, who was just a businessman, he had no connection with driving, as far as I can remember. Or even Jean Todt. I know he was the team principal for Ferrari, but yeah, I don't think he was a driver. Was he? Okay, he was for former rally co-driver, but sure. But Ben Silla was like a rally driver, multiple championships in a well-known rally championship. There's a lot of excitement I remember in 2021 when um, he even not just when he won the election, but even when he stood for the election, competing as one of potential candidates. So it's just sad to see that in 3 years we have gone from the community kind of hoping for his ascension to the FIA president and hoping for a new era to now you ask any F1 fan, they're like, hey man, when are they kicking him out? So
I
it's
agree.
it's a bit sad to see. But yeah,
Yep.
anyways, yeah, I think that's all we had. Unless you want to add something else, Aniket?
No, I think let's just put that aside and
Yeah,
let's get our heads down to tomorrow's qualifying. It's going to be a fun one. I'm going to wake up with a lot of excitement.
yeah,
It's at a good time for viewers in Asia as well. So it's like around your morning breakfast slash lunchtime. So very good time. You have your food along with some F1. So I think a lot of people will be able to watch that, and we'll get to you right after qualifying with like an instant reaction to quali
yeah,
and put it out on our feed as well. So stay tuned for that, and as we always say, subscribe to the channel, like, share, do all that good stuff. We are growing every day, and we would love your support as well to help us grow, so that we can take you to the different parts of the world through our pod
yeah.
by covering F1.
And do tell all
So,
your F1 crazy friends about us and join us on this journey.
yes, because we are pod on the Apex, and we'll see you shortly on the next one. Till then, see you.